It was a good start to week one, including yesterday's video where I put you guys in some really low-owned plays that went nuts, like Alec Pierce, I guess Mike Evans to the same extent, Jane Daniels, we all knew that one going in. But of course, we got a new day here. It's Monday Night Football today, and I'm going to do something that I haven't done since last Thursday, where I'm going to go through, going to look at the projections and the ownership projections. We're going to build some lineups with an optimizer via the solver. We're going to simulate lineups with the solver, check out some sins from Stochastic. And at the end of the video, I'll give you guys 3 takeaways on how to build unique lineups on the slate. It's something I would say I excel at more than most out there. Let's hop into this one. Let's figure it out. Again, Monday Night Football. Once again, the window's a weird size, of course. Here we go. Good size window. Big old window here. Totals today, 19.8 implied points for the Jets, according to Vegas. 23.8 for the Niners. So expected to be a little bit of a lower scoring game, defensively minded game. Right away, when you see those two things, I can tell you, you might want to be playing a little bit more of an outlier outcome. Could be something like playing a shootout in this one is going to be unexpected. A lot of people won't be playing that. We'll figure it out though as we go. Shouts to chat. We got our guy Sammy here, Matthew here. Appreciate you guys tuning in, of course, Monday morning. And no matter what time you're watching this video, I do appreciate it a bunch here. And of course, like, subscribe, do all that. Goes a long way for me as an independent proprietor here, just showing you the most honest take I can about how to build good lineups. We got Christian McCaffrey, top projected player right now, according to Stochastic. Number 2, Breece Hall, pretty big gap between the two. If I had to guess, McCaffrey going to be one of the more likely candidates to be in every single lineup we put in here. And of course, when we see a player coming up in every lineup, right away, that does tell you this is a player you can consider fading or one that you can lean into more. Just make sure you're trying to get unique constructions with it. If I had to guess based on these projections, Christian McCaffrey is going to be that guy today. Breece Hall, number 2, that's 17.1 fantasy point projection right now on DraftKings at a 10.2 salary. Number 3 is Garrett Wilson, 16.4 projection at a $9,800 salary. We got Brock Purdy, 16.3, $9,200 salary, and Aaron Rodgers, 14.6 with a $9,000 salary here. Did I big something? No. Congrats, Spags. I don't know what, just being right about Jane Daniels, I guess. But no, I finished top 200 in Battle Royale on 9 entries. Besides that, finished, I think, top 501 millionaire Millie Maker lineup yesterday. Besides that, though, nothing was crazy. Just it was mostly good teams with Terry McLaurin grabbing them back down to earth like some sort of monster, like the worm from Beetlejuice. That's basically what my lineups were yesterday. But Jaden, of course, Jaden was a smash play. Top values according to Stochastic right now. We got Ronnie Bell, if he's active, 1.2 projected points for him at a $200 salary. That doesn't seem right. He didn't make the final roster. I'd really watch this one. Stochastic, I feel like their first runner projections sometimes includes guys that are not even close to being active on the slate. So that's one player that I would really watch out for actually being active today. Isaiah Davis, I would guess more likely to be active, probably going to take some kick returns as well as serve as the RB3. He's got a 4.2x value on a 0.9 projection, so really low at 200 for him. Chris Conley, maybe a little more live to get some work with Ricky Pearsall out due to being shot. And also, again, Juwan Jennings still likely playing ahead. But Conley, 3.9x salary, 0.8 fantasy points projection for him. I guess that's basically it. Juszczyk, 2.8x value on him, 1.7 projection at a $600 salary. So he is your pay up to be contrarian, so to speak. And Izzy Abanikanda, rounding out the top 5 here of not that most appealing values. These are the guys who are going to come up a little bit as cheap players and probably not feel the most playable because of the fact they don't have a lot of ceiling to them, obviously. Ownership, let's look at that here, updated 1 hour ago. Of course, make sure to get all the Stochastic data and tools for yourself. Link in the description down below, or 15% off the promo code SPLASH, whichever you prefer. Okay, Adam here. Shout out Adam. Hope you had a good day. Ladd McConkey caught a touchdown, so how could things be bad for Ladd? Great passing performance for the Chargers. J.K. Dobbins. I mean, we're going to talk about it all in the recap I do tomorrow. Of course, talk about the best ball part of it in particular, my own exposures and all that, and how things are doing. But I would say Dobbins probably the feel-good story of the weekend out of all of them, just running like he never got hurt. I was excited to see that. Gus Edwards looking like dog shit. Less excited to see that. The Chargers basically yesterday, exactly who we thought they were, and I guess exactly who Ladd McConkey, Adam, thought that he was, caught a touchdown. Top owned player projected to be Christian McCaffrey, according to Stochastic, 71% overall, with 25% at captain. So right away, you go to a Debo, you go to a Garrett Wilson, you go to a Breece Hall, you go to a Brandon Ayuk, you're going to get different right away there, give yourself higher upside. I would say McCaffrey is captain, certainly a logical play when you're going to be walking right into the chalk buzzsaw for sure. Breece Hall, 55% ownership for him, 13% at captain. So again, favoring the down-paced game given the total here. I would say kickers in play as well today. Potentially, maybe not so much at captain, but even a little bit there. Defense captain, I wouldn't be mad at either, especially the Niners defense. I would say that if you're going to see a lot of RBs up top trying try to play a different ugly kind of build, but playing one where maybe a different part of it hits, where let's say you get the Niners D at captain, you then cram in McCaffrey, can't cram in Debo, cram in Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall. That's one build I think would right away look interesting to me based off the ownership. Brock Purdy, 54% overall, only 7% of captains. So that'd be another way to do that. Targeting Brock Purdy, going nuts in the pass game, and maybe putting in, I would say, at least 2 pass catchers with him if you do play Brock Purdy at captain. His ownership is pretty low at captain. Garrett Wilson, number 4, 49% overall ownership, 14% at captain. And number 5 is Aaron Rodgers, projected for 47% ownership, 6% at captain. So if you want to play in to the man, the thumbnail here that I think is going to get absolutely eaten alive in this matchup, going against the Niners defense that on the year generated pressure at a pretty decent clip, 21% pressure rate, which would be middle of the pack, but Niners pressure, I would say more quality pressure, converts to a sack at a good amount. Also 3.5% interception rate last year by the Niners D. I don't think it's a great matchup for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that any matchup is a great matchup for Aaron Rodgers, besides perhaps the Commanders D, who's going to get a lot of good games this year. But Rodgers, you want to play him at captain, he's going to be low owned, and you could certainly try to do that. And it does make some sense in terms of you put him with some pass catchers, it's going to be low owned. Leading the Chargers of receiving is like kissing your grandmother. Right, we're doing lad talk. I'm focused on the show. I got to get down faster because I feel like if I take too long on showdown videos, the discovery gets a lot lower. Low owned players here, guys, to point out a little bit more, especially at captain. Kittle under 10% ownership right away. Think that would be an interesting play to go to. The Jets last year defensively did limit tight ends pretty well in terms of EPA, negative 0.1 EPA allowed per target, but 12.9% of the time they were targeting tight ends or allowing opposing offense to target tight end. Kittle, we know, is the big upside. I think seeing him under 10% ownership. And frankly, again, I watched receiver. I enjoyed the George Kittle experience, and he does still follow me on Twitter. So all things that would lead me to say it's like a pretty good captain play here. Conklin, a lower owned one, hard to see him having the ceiling to get there, but maybe he pulls his own Isaiah Likely. I don't think so, but Conklin under 5%. He does at least get work. We got Moody. Okay, who cares? Who cares? We got fucking Adam. The Lad McConkey hour here is what we're going to do instead. We got Jake Moody, low owned play as well. Think he's doing okay. Hope Puka's okay. That one I agree with. Puka, look, there was some insider stuff that's came out the last few weeks. Guys like, what's the fucking guy? Greg Rosenthal or whatever, the guy who used to be on NFL Network and has some sources. I feel like a lot of the guys who've been on TV, for some reason, Sean McVay has been a source for them. He was talking before the season about how some concerns about Puka Nacua, and it was at the point where Puka was getting back in the practice. And I think, myself, a lot of you guys out there probably went like poo-pooed it a little bit, but there were people inside the team talking about having concern for his knee at being able to get there. I think a much more important thing to note, Cooper Kupp getting 18 targets yesterday was absolutely batshit. You even saw guys like Tyler Johnson getting off a little bit, Whittington getting a little bit of work. It's definitely going to have some ramifications if Puka misses time, but hopefully he'll be okay. Not the way you want to start the year, though, for your young guy who should be, able to recover from stuff fast, get out there, have the most explosive upside. Other low-owned captains here, really not a lot to note on the low-owned captain side. Ayuk under 8%. If I had to guess, he gets a little bit lower. Debo certainly under 10% as well. Not looking too bad here, ownership-wise. The McCaffrey, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall ownership is really the 3 big ones to watch a captain, it seems. Everything else you're going to be low-owned enough. And I would say, obviously, Niners guys, we know the big upside here. Debo, Ayuk, you're seeing those guys under 10% ownership. I think they are the most likely captain plays I'd want to get to here. Anyone near 10% overall who seems worth pointing out? Allen Lazard at under 20%, a gross play for sure, but he has been getting regular slot work for the Jets. I would watch out for that one. Niners on the year. Softest, and actually, no. Well, yeah, no, they're soft out wide, honestly. So Garrett Wilson might be able to get going. Obviously, expect them to shade a lot of coverage his way, maybe some bracket coverage his way. But a 31% target rate allowed to receivers out wide was what the Niners D gave up last year. 43% out of the slot with a 0.1 EPA there. I think targeting out wide, targeting out the slot, if you're going to target anything in the Jets pass game, both seem acceptable. But I would say Lazard, nobody wants to play him. He's gross. He is somebody that Aaron Rodgers trusts. That kind of thing might matter in a game where the Niners, as I imagine, again, is going to be up Aaron Rodgers' ass a lot. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to take contact, wants to feel pressure, given that he's coming off that Achilles tear and he's in his mid-40s. He's going to be trying to get the ball out. And Lazard out of the slot, kind of guy you can get a ball out to pretty well. Mike Williams as well being low owned. Again, just a deep shot kind of player. The price tag's also really gross. Really hate to put my fate in the hands of Aaron Rodgers, but if Lazard and Williams are going to be this low owned, I think taking some shots on them makes sense. And Juwan Jennings coming in a little bit. Again, more guaranteed wide receiver 3 work for him with Ricky Pierce all out. The bad news is probably going to be the same wide receiver 3 work that he got last year. You do have guys like Jacob Cowan coming for him a little bit. Whoever else is active there could take some theoretical wide receiver 3 reps away. But Jennings at 10% ownership, not a bad play. Nothing that's exciting down here. Corley, better in best ball kind of play. Would not look his way very much, if at all. Mason, I think just a pure contingent value play, would have a hard time going to him. Though maybe with McCaffrey being banged up, maybe a little bit more utility there, but at $3K salary, he's probably going to get a touchdown for you. It's not the prettiest down bottom here. Let's look at the solver, though. Of course, the solver is going to allow us to simulate some lineups, and I'll see ETR's projections on here, and ETR's projections for what it's worth. McCaffrey, highest projected overall. Breece Hall, number 2. Brock Purdy, number 3. Ownership as well, looking pretty similar at captain. 25% McCaffrey captain, 14% Breece Hall captain, 14% Garrett Wilson captain, rounded up here. So very similar looking numbers on ETR, except they're projecting Ayuk to be even lower owned at captain, it seems. All right, let's see. No variance on this one. So we're just going to run a straight math-based play on the solver here and see what the top 25 lineups give us. And then basically what these top 25 lineups are going to tell us is what the math is going to drive people to, especially using ETR's projections. People are just going to follow these blindly, plunk in whatever they give. And when you see that, you can then sort of make a guess about what's going to bet people on more lineups overall, because of the fact that basically the projections push them towards whatever plays more frequently than you'd even want to. Let's find out what those players are. So McCaffrey ends up in 100% of lineups. Brock Purdy ends up in 100% of lineups. Tyler Conklin in 92% of lineups. So right away, this didn't work out last slate, but it was really close to working out on the Thursday Night Football slate. Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice. Brock Purdy could have a good game, but not good enough to make a lineup. McCaffrey can be a beneficiary. All the receivers could pass Brock Purdy in terms of the full point PPR if they don't score touchdowns. So that's what you're looking at here. If you're going to try to separate from the field right away, you'd be playing max 1 of CMC and Brock Purdy. Doesn't mean that's a play that's going to hit. Now, again, what we saw on Thursday basically was like Mahomes had kind of a dog shit game, still barely got there down the home stretch, ended up making the winning lineup, but you're playing the outcome where that isn't quite good enough to get him in. That's the way you can play Brock Purdy here. So I'd still be more inclined to play, if I were to play one of these guys at 100%, I'd play CMC at 100% and fade Purdy. But I think going the opposite way too, if you don't play McCaffrey, play some more Niners pass catchers, play one at captain, maybe play Jordan Mason. Just shaving away one of these two guys right away is going to be the way to get your ownership down a lot on that product. What you're trying to put lineups together, and that's the main thing you do for yourself as always. The best example I can give is when, again, last time I had a really big DFS one was a couple seasons ago, 125K on a showdown between the Bengals and the Browns. I saw T. Higgins and Joe Burrow coming up in every lineup and then separated them out, made it so only one of my lineups would, or my lineups would only have one of them rather. That's what helps you vault ahead of the field. It also leaves you vulnerable where if the chalk hits, if the expected combo hits, then you're left behind, but you're trying to vault yourself ahead of everybody. So for me, I would say, if you're putting in a 20 max today, put in 10 lineups with only, one of McCaffrey and Purdy, then put in the other 10 and just make your best, most unique versions that have the both of them together. But that's sort of the way I would try to attack it if I were trying to give you guys that one. Debo captain, that's certainly another way to do it. You put Debo in captain, and then Purdy and McCaffrey in the flex, gets the ownership down. Probably want to do something more low owned with that, like play a sub 10% owned guy, leave a lot of money on the table. You got to remember that it's all about kind of having a bunch of unique little switches or levers to pull. And, leaving money on the table is one lever to always pull. Under 10% owned guys, one or two of them, always another lever to pull. But sometimes the obvious one like this, where people just are going to play McCaffrey and Purdy all over again, that could be your unique list lever to pull. So it's one to keep in mind here. Sammy, you're putting it in my son's bank. Let's go. Thank you, Sammy. I will put the $3 in Luca's bank when I get paid by YouTube in a month. That's how the economics of it go. But I appreciate the sentiment, Sammy. Appreciate Sammy a bunch. You're one of our regulars. And do appreciate everybody as well who joins down below to support the show. Again, I'm showing you guys two products here that you'll never see on the same stream from anybody else. I try to show you what it's actually like to build lineups using two of the top products in the space here. So I do something different than everybody else out there. Show some love. Hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, join down below for $4.99. All the support goes a long way here. What else are we seeing here in terms of stack construction? So all the lineups here, a 3-3 favoring the Jets, a 4-2 favoring the Jets, a 2-4 favoring the Niners. You're not getting onslaught builds. I got to say again, I am not a big Jets believer. I really don't think they're a team that is ready to be an upper echelon NFL team in any way, personally. Like, I know people want to believe that defensively they can, but I think their best case scenario is winning ugly games, 19-point total games like that to me, or 19 points on their side, kind of scoring games. So to me, playing a Niners onslaught, great. Playing a Jets onslaught, less comfortable, but I can pretty much guarantee people won't play a lot of Jets onslaughts. You do see people naturally getting forced to more Jets, though. You see 3-3, 4-2 coming up 96% of the time. So you're seeing at least 3 Jets in 96% of lineups, according to ETR. So the thing to me would be play more Jets, which I tend to think doesn't work, or play less Jets. If I were building teams right now, I probably would want to build no lineups with more than 3 Jets. And I would say, if anything, want all my lineups to have 2 Jets or less because of the fact that, again, this is all that's coming up here. You're getting a lot of Jets. I think the Jets suck. I think the Jets are out of their depth as a team going into the Niners for week 1. So to me, playing a Niners dominant build would be pretty appealing right away. Anything else to note here? Most common stacks, again, Purdy and McCaffrey coming up pretty much everywhere. We also have Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, Conklin, Purdy McCaffrey with Debo, Purdy McCaffrey with Juszczyk is coming up a decent amount, but this seems like the big one to watch out for. Purdy and McCaffrey, and then Hall, Rodgers, Conklin. That all comes together too. Well, let's run a 300 lineup set and see what the sim has for this one. Let me import my settings. So it's on an unencumbered crunch showdown. Here we go. Yes. This is me leaving a little bit of salary on the table too. So we're not going to build the most generic kind of ones. You can see my stack options here. We're boosting wide receivers and tight ends if we play a captain QB. We're boosting RB if we play a captain QB. We're boosting QB if we play a captain wide receiver or tight end. That's basically the main things I put in here for my settings to build my big batch of lineups. Let's change the variance too, so it'll go faster. And here's how we build with the solver, guys. If you want to use the solver, which is what I did for my teams yesterday, for the main slate, really did enjoy building with the solver. Again, the difference between the solver and stochastic. If you want a machine that's just going to spit out lineups you can play and not have any customization to it, I would go to stochastic. If you want to hand build some stuff and then sim that a little bit more aggressively, I would use the solver. I think that's the really big difference between these two products right now. I personally like having a little more control over my lineups as opposed to stochastic, where you're just getting a pool of lineups and you pick the best ones that are competing amidst this pool. The solver, you could put in anything. You could lock in Brock Purdy, Tyler Conklin, and Alan Lazard and just sim teams that have only that trio. I like it a lot. I think a lot of the people who play like I do, a lot of you guys who watch the stream, I think you're probably going to enjoy the solver a little bit more. So I would recommend checking it out. I think it's under $50 for a month. I might be wrong about that. But check it out, solver.com. Check the link in the description, please, so you use our promo code. Just check the pricing here. Oh, I can't. It just logs me back in. Yeah, I should probably know the solver's pricing, but I don't. I know it's cheaper than stochastics. You have $50 a month for the simulator. And that's for the optimizer. And then $40 for the simulator, I believe. It's confusing, though. Here's our 300 lineups. Where's the simulate button? It looks like they're not allowing you to sim yet. Oh, they must not have the pools done for the showdown today. So we can't run a sim on the solver. But you can see here with the 300 lineups that we're getting a little bit more of. So still a lot of Brock Purdy, getting a lot more of him at captain now. A lot more McCaffrey. A lot more Debo at captain. It seems like the big flip from running the optimizer here without being able to sim. You're getting Brock Purdy more. Kittle captain. Let's just go to stochastic for this part. I didn't know that ETR wouldn't have their player pool done, so unfortunately we can't see their sim right now, but it's going to be not dissimilar from stochastic's one. Let's generate lineups here for stochastic. Now, what stochastic is going to do is going to build 10,000 lineups and have those 10,000 lineups compete against each other 10,000 times. So you're just going to get whatever the 10,000 lineups are. There's going to be a little bit of correlation, but stochastics, I believe, for the most part, you're just having lineups that are basically random combinations of things. And what happens in showdowns is that random combinations end up being similar to stacking because of the fact there's only so many options. So they basically have like 10,000 lineups that have some projection to them, some ownership to them, but they end up looking a lot more similar to a expected pool of lineups that you would have in a tournament. All right, let's simulate these out. What's the prize pool today? I don't want to log in. Oh my God, it's such a hassle. All right, hold on. It's probably 25%. Let's just assume it's 25%. I don't need to be that accurate. I'm going to run the contest sim here. Again, 10,000 lines competing 10,000 times on stochastic. We'll see what it gives us. And we'll make some differences here. I mean, I already could tell what I think would be the ways to get unique. Playing less Jets seems like it, which is pretty much exactly how I'd want to play the slate anyway. So that works out well. Guys, I'm doing these streams for showdowns Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Every other day, I'm doing streams also at 11 a.m. Tomorrow, I'll be doing my best ball weekend review / general weekend review, looking at the performers. Wednesday, Spags rankings return, or the Spags score, I guess the best way to do it. My data version of my personal rankings, where I go through, have a metric that combines usage with EPA, the efficiency metrics, and I roll it into one. And last year was actually very insightful for some players. Frankly, even guys like Baker Mayfield, who hit yesterday. Last year, he was on top of my QB rankings for, top 5 for a large portion of the year. Hit a few times in DFS, but not that much. I do think it does reveal some stuff that sometimes the human eye / my own biases won't catch. So that's going to be on Wednesdays coming up. And of course, Thursday's showdown video, Friday, full slate preview. And of course, my new premium video going through all my data. That's what you got coming up this week. All right, so we got number 1 ROI lineup right now. Jets 4-2 here. So again, Jets dominant lineups coming up a lot here as well. I would not feel comfortable with that. But that's what we're getting everywhere. We got McCaffrey, Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Greg Zuerlein, Jake Moody, Tyler Conklin as a top ROI lineup right now. Another McCaffrey, number 2, McCaffrey. So the first one, have to note, it did automatically do the thing I was saying here, cut out Brock Purdy, and that's the way that it got unique. For the second one here, looks like we have similar amount of salary left on the table. We do have Brock Purdy in it. We're getting unique by putting in 2 kickers. So it's McCaffrey, Purdy, Debo, Zuerlein, Jake Moody, Tyler Conklin. Again, same principle here. If you're going to play McCaffrey and Purdy, you have to get unique somehow. The way to get unique would be playing Zuerlein and Moody in this build. For this one here, McCaffrey, no Purdy, McCaffrey, Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Greg Zuerlein, Jets. So it's a Jets 5-1. That's the way this lineup is getting unique. No Purdy, another lever to get unique. That's what this is. That's what Showdown is. There's nothing that will crystallize this, encapsulate this more for you than what we just talked about, where McCaffrey and Purdy pop up everywhere. What do you see in the top sim ROI lineups? McCaffrey, no Purdy, or McCaffrey with Purdy and something that's a really unique construction. And sometimes you're getting both of those things going on. We're getting no Purdy and a really unique construction. That's what you're seeing up top here. Same thing in number 4, Garrett Wilson, captain, Aaron Rodgers, McCaffrey, Zuerlein, Moody, Jets D. So a Jets 4-2. Really don't think the Jets overstacking is going to be low owned based on what we saw at the sim, but or based with the optimizer rather, but that's what we're getting right now. Another Garrett Wilson, another McCaffrey, but really you are seeing a lack of Purdy in these top lineups. So it does seem like right away, and you're seeing 1-2, no McCaffrey, no Purdy, which is 2 really big levers to pull. If I had to guess, this one to be incredibly low owned with Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Kittle, Zuerlein, Jets. 5-1 onslaught build with a pass catcher bring back. I don't support a Jets 5-1 really, but a Jets 5-1 with Kittle as the bring back, it's a logical thing to do. Jets 5-1 with Debo, Jets 5-1 with Ayuk. That's sort of what the 5-1s tend to look like the most. Adam hears and forgets. I think that's his AI quote of the day, but it could also apply to showdowns. You got to hear what I'm saying and don't forget it. Just finding the little things to make your lineups unique that happen over and over again in projected lineups. That's going to get you so much more money in showdowns than anything else you could possibly do. Even getting players right, like just knowing what everybody else is going to do and not doing that for some portion of lineups, that is really like the most important thing in showdowns from my experience that people just can't get over themselves to kind of figure out. We got other captains here. I know somebody's asking about Kittle captains. We can look at that right now. Quickly take a quick look at some other captains up top. Oh, actually, no, I should put captain. There we go. All right, Captain Kittle with Braylon Allen, Purdy, McCaffrey, Garrett Wilson, Jake Moody, 49.3. This says 0 dupes. I would find that hard to believe. Think Kittle captains will be low owned, but he'd probably want to strip away one of Purdy and McCaffrey or get less salary. I think if you want to make it a little bit more unique. This one would be it for me. Kittle, Niners, Ayuk, Breece Hall, Brock Purdy, Jake Moody. So we're basically saying right away that the McCaffrey touchdowns go Kittle's way, Ayuk's way. Maybe even Niners D gets a touchdown. Jake Moody kicking in field goals that don't get in there. How come my ROI is higher than when you, because they're different pools. They do different pools, I think, each time. They're created individually each time. Kittle, Niners, and they also simulate differently, so they're going to be different person to person. They should be mostly similar in terms of the overall, like what players create the ROI, but the actual lineups are going to be different. Kittle, Ayuk, Purdy, McCaffrey, Zuerlein, Moody is another one here. So this one, you are getting both guys. Only $500 left off the table. But I guess the way you're getting unique with this one is playing 2 kickers. So it seems like the Sims really think a way to get unique today is to play 2 kickers together. And that's coming up a good amount. Let's look up the other key Niners before we go and look at the overall construction, which players have the best ROI. Brandon Ayuk, top lineup is Ayuk with Breece Hall, Purdy, Debo, Zerline, Conklin. So again, fading McCaffrey here. Still think this one gets duped a good amount at 49.6, fading McCaffrey. This one too, no fucking chance this is going to only have one dupe. Ayuk, Niners, Purdy, McCaffrey, Moody, Mike Williams. Again, 5-1s are not going to be played a lot today, but a $50,000 salary with all players that are known, this one definitely gets played. So just, yeah, have to have like a little bit of an eye for this yourself if you're going through it. This one with Ayuk captain at 49,000 maybe gets us closer. Ayuk, Niners, Purdy, Garrett Wilson. So you're getting a 5-1 with the Niners, with the Jets bring back here of Garrett Wilson. Again, receiver bring backs, always what you want in a 5-1 onslaught build. Kittle, Jake Moody here. So we have kicker, defense. We have a receiver at captain. We have Wilson as a bring back. This would be it. Honestly, right now, I would doubt the shadiness throughout the day. If you were to play one lineup here that I think would be low owned and work, this one with Ayuk at captain, I think, is it. Ayuk, Niners, Purdy, Wilson, Kittle, Moody. Not the biggest Garrett Wilson guy in the world, but this lineup works. Surely Kittle can't fail this week if the other elite tight ends failed, right? That's how that works, I'm sure. I mean, look, it's a good Kittle game when it's a good Kittle game, and when it's not a good Kittle game, it's bad. So I think if you're going to play him, playing him at captain, or if you're playing him with Purdy at captain, I think those are the 2 ways to do it. Debo. Debo lineups here. A Debo 3-3 with 50K in salary. Still think this gets duped, but again, fading McCaffrey here makes the sim think that it's not going to get played as much. Debo, Rodgers, Purdy, Wilson, Juwan Jennings, Tyler Conklin. That's a lineup. I think that gets duped a lot more than it would seem here based on the ROI, and it's saying 0 dupes. This one, 4 dupes, not even worth your time. Debo, Niners, Purdy, McCaffrey, Zerline, Moody. If something says 4 dupes, it's probably got literally 100 dupes. So I would not play those lineups using the stochastic sims. Let's find one that leaves money on the table. Here we go. A Niners 5-1 again, 48.4 salary. Debo, Niners D, Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Jake Moody, and Jets D. So that's the hard fade where you're saying basically no Jets get above 8 fantasy points, 8 to 10 fantasy points. I like that build. That's one where you really, in the past, those lineups hit when it's like one team just gets absolutely fucking nothing going. I think it's possible that could be the Jets today. So look, I think Breece Hall scores. Like, I think Breece Hall does something useful today. But if you really want to make a hard bet against the Jets that people won't make, one where no guys make the lineup besides Jets D, it is a pretty high ROI lineup. Number 5 for Debo, in terms of, or number 4 actually, overall for Debo's ROIs. This is kind of a fun one too. Anything weird at captain? Just do a quick look at Garrett Wilson. Between 4,800 and 6K is only the 49ers D. Moody with cash on the table is easy. Yeah, but I think people won't play the Niners D as much as they should because of that. Garrett Wilson captain here, 47.7. This works. Garrett Wilson, Rodgers, McCaffrey, Zerline, Moody, Jets. It's a Jets almost onslaught 4-2 build. This one, 48.9. Jets onslaught with Garrett Wilson, Rodgers, Breece, George Kittle, Zerline, Jets. I don't see it happening, but that's the kind of Jets heavy build I think you want to play if you are going to play one. Garrett Wilson lineups aren't bad. Breece Hall ones, let's see how you get unique with this because he's going to be chalky ownership for sure. Again, we're going to hand build at the end of this one, and I'll give my 3 takeaways at the end of it as well. We got Breece Hall here, Niners, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Jets D, Mike Williams. Yeah, this one's going to be low owned. Again, I don't think this is possible. Like, I don't think this hits more than once in 100 times with just the Niners as a bring back. But that's the kind of build, again, you want to get low owned. That's how you get low owned. Jordan Mason, giving any thoughts tonight in the event of a Niner blowout? No, I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't go there very much. Not at 3K. You can if you're doing a 150 set, but I doubt you're doing a 150 set. Anything else here? We could just go Niners D for curiosity. Niners D at captain. So onslaught build, that makes sense. 49.8 though, that's going to get duped. But I guess one where it's Niners D at captain, only Jets is the bring back. That could play. This 5-1 would look better. Niners D with Ayuk, Purdy, McCaffrey, Moody, and Mike Williams as the bring back. So again, a 5-1 with a receiver coming back. That looks better. You kind of get the idea here. So let's hand build it here. We've seen pretty much everything we can based off the sims. Actually, let's look at the final overall exposures to the top 150. So the highest ROI player right now, Greg Zuerlein, it looks like. Jake Moody, both a captain, actually. So kicker, captain. The sims like a good amount here, which is that right? Did I do that right? Yeah, okay. So kicker captains have the highest ROI right now for both kicker captains, both Zuerlein and Moody. And then the flex as well, Zuerlein and Moody also have two of the highest ROIs at 12% for Zuerlein, 7% for Moody. So the kickers in play does seem like the sims want you to play more kickers. Jets D also a pretty high ROI as well. Them being underplayed, they're probably one of the ways that the Jets stay in this game is just scoring a touchdown, pressuring Purdy, maybe getting a few picks. I get it. Interesting to see. Overall exposures for the top 150 sim lineups. Getting a lot of Purdy in the flex, a lot of Zuerlein in the flex, a lot of Moody in the flex. Half the time, you're getting Moody, Zuerlein, or Purdy in the flex, or I guess all three in some of them. McCaffrey at 49% in the flex, Breece Hall 41% in the flex, Garrett Wilson 35%. And then you're getting the CMC captain, still want you to have 1/3 captain. So the sim saying CMC captain, not bad chalk. But again, keep in mind here that CMC captain means you really have to find a way to get that ownership down, or else you're going to be on an island with a lot of lineups that you don't really want to be next to. Nothing else too interesting here. Lowest leverage players, less Allen Lazard. Sims do not like Lazard. Sims don't like Aaron Rodgers and flex. Jeremy Ruckert, Gibson, Rand. So really doesn't like the tertiary options for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, I guess, are basically the two things the sim doesn't seem to like. Let's hand build one out, though. Let's see what we can do. Let me refresh this page. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to hand build one here. I still think Niners dominant is the most appealing to me. Niners dominant build should include, I believe, the Niners D. So let's put them in first. Niners in the flex. Going to put them in. Like, they get to Aaron Rodgers and make his day unpleasant. Can I build one that gets unique with McCaffrey as captain? Well, let's see. McCaffrey captain. We'll put that in. Niners D, 68.5 between the different. Who's the top RB2? I don't know what you're talking about. You mean behind Breece and McCaffrey together? You got to clarify that one and I can look it up. Breece Hall punching one in here. He's going to get less targets this year, but if there were a day for him to PPR scam things, I would think this is probably it. The Jets a little bit weaker out wide, so Garrett Wilson would not be a crazy play either if I'm going to do it for the bring back. Let's go Garrett Wilson. One other receiver's got to do something here in the flex, I would think, for the Niners. Or we could just go Brock Purdy and hope that he splits production, I guess, would be another way to do that. Yeah, you know what? Let's do the chalk play. Let's play McCaffrey and Purdy together. We got 4,200 left, 2 spots. We got to dig down a little bit here. Let's go Juwan Jennings, I guess. Juwan Jennings scores. Oh my God, even he's $4,000. All right. Oh yeah, no, it's Mason and Braylon. Yes, it's not. Who's the top RB2? That should be obvious. That should be obvious. All right, so we have McCaffrey, Niners D, Wilson, Purdy, Juwan Jennings. If I put Kittle in here, the lineup wouldn't work. The lineup would, I think, get too expensive pretty fast. We'd have to play a $200 guy. You put Kittle in, you pretty much are locked into playing Kyle Juszczyk, which, if I had to guess, this is not going to be my final one here, but let's sim it just for the sake of exercise here. So McCaffrey, captain, Niners D, Garrett Wilson, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Kyle Juszczyk. Juszczyk, not $200, so the price tag, maybe people won't get to quite as much. All right, positive ROI for this one. Let's take Kittle out. Let's put in Juwan Jennings. Now, with that remaining 4,400, what do we do? We got kickers here. We got Zuerlein, got Conklin, Jets D, Jordan Mason. This could be where we play Jordan Mason and just say that he maybe scooped a touchdown late. I think this kind of bill to be one where you could do it. Getting Juszczyk, Ronnie Bell down here. I would take Jordan Mason outscoring Juszczyk, I suppose. Let's run this one. Sure, that's a team. All right, so wow, negative 46%. So that flip of just Jennings and Mason for Kittle and Juszczyk really decreased the ROI. So I guess that's the line we're going to go with here. So final team for me is going to be this one we just built. Kittle, Juszczyk. Let's submit one more time just for fun. Let's do it. Actually, let's do the large contest. 25% to first. Make sure we get the sim ROI right here. For McCaffrey, Niners D, Garrett Wilson, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk. And this will be our final ROI on this one. If 3K and below is gross. I think it's Juszczyk or bust. All right, so 16% ROI in a large field contest here. So not great, not bad. Cashing 28% of the time. So actually, that's not bad. Top 10%, 2% of the time. We can live with it. So that's going to be the final team I build out here. So the 3 takeaways to get unique lineups today. That's the first thing. So number one would be, I think you got to play less Jets. I know I'm biased towards it. I have to say the thing should be like you either play like a lot of Jets, either onslaught the Jets or even a 4-2, but don't play 3-3. Like 3-3 is going to be a morass of people that think the Jets are good and people that couldn't get away from projectable Jets. When meanwhile, it's, I think, pretty likely that one of these teams runs away with this one. This the 5-1 onslaughts for both sides are underrepresented. To me, the Niners 5-1 onslaught, though, is like a really appealing one, especially, well, you do some different stuff. Number two would be based on the Sims. You got to play kickers more. I think there's a world, too, where maybe my 5-1 Jets build doesn't work out because of the fact that, like, Greg Zuerlein just kicks a bunch of field goals. The Jets get in the red zone, don't do enough damage, can't actually score. So to me, I think Zuerlein probably appeals to me more out of both him and Moody. Both guys are in play. Both guys are playable together. The Sims really seem to like it. So I think playing Moody and Zuerlein together today makes some amount of sense. Still wouldn't want to include a defense with that. In general, the hit rates are much higher for 2 out of the 4 kickers and defenses. So probably try to limit yourself there. If you want to do a couple with 2 kickers and a defense, I wouldn't hate it given the build, but, you know, and what this game is. That's basically it. Get on the GW bandwagon, no chance. But, I mean, for today, I think he's a good part of a 5-1 build as the Jets bring back. Third takeaway here to be more unique on today's slate. I mean, the obvious one is going to always be leave salary on the table. But really, like, it's the Purdy-McCaffrey thing. If you're playing a high-salary lineup with McCaffrey and Purdy, just eyeball it down. Like, go, okay, this is 49.8. And I'm also playing, like, all players that are known quantities, rotational players. You got to then drop off something. Drop off one receiver to go to a cheaper receiver. Drop off, you know, another RB to go to another RB. Like, do something like that. But basically, if you do just play McCaffrey and Purdy and you have a lineup over 49.5 without having one of those weird under 10% owned players, you're just going to get duped to death. So I would really watch out for that one. So that's your 3 takeaways, guys, here. Of course, I do them every video here. So please subscribe down below, leave a like button or hit the like button, leave a comment. Of course, I show up and do the work here, basically just showing you the 2 preeminent products in the space with Stochastic's tool and the solver. And I just do that here. This is me actually just giving what I would do for gambling and what I'll be doing tonight when I'm playing entries. So my process here is different than a lot of the ones out there where they're trying to sell you a specific product. I'm just trying to show you what I see on both and how to get unique with it. And that's the goal here on Splash Play. But go check out both products. Stochastic, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. They also have their deal where it's like $1 for the data for, I believe, 1 more day. So you can get in there and get all the stuff for 1 day, and then you'll get the full package coming, I think, renewing tomorrow. But check that out, Stochastic. Link in the description, too. It supports the show and supports you. And the solver, again, go check out the solver. No promo, there is a promo code SPLASH, but no deal on it. It's just a great tool. And again, really do think if you're somebody who likes to hand build stuff out, like the last part of the video I do here, but do it with an optimizer and then just sim stuff out. Really valuable process in the solver, especially when they have their sim stuff ready to go. But check out the solver. I think they do a great job as well. And I really enjoyed building lineups with them yesterday. I really thought that was a different process for me and one that I felt a lot more control in, which I personally think is my value. So that's what the biggest cosign I can give the solver. Thought it was a good experience doing it yesterday. Check that stuff out, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Thank you to the fine folks who supported the channel. Of course, you too can join down below, $4.99. You get my data every week. You also get a premium video where I go game by game, highlighting some of the matchups. A lot of that stuff hit this week too, so I think that video added some value right away. But that's the process here. Of course, I just show you my gambling every day, let you in on it, and you can ask me questions. You can give me shit, and you can give me whatever you want, and I'll tell you I think you're right or I think you're wrong. But that's what it is here. It's a conversation about how to try to make more money together. That's what we do here on Splash Play. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Back tomorrow with the Week 2 Best Ball check-in. So we'll find out how I'm doing. Hopefully well. We'll see it then. Enjoy your days, guys. And no matter what you're playing tonight, of course, good luck. Bye-bye.